Okay, I'd like to show you the materials that we use to tie these flies. The first one is the polyolefin. You can read the label on that. I'll show you what you do with it once you purchase it. You take material, and it's about 8 strands in there. You just sort of pull it out, and you notice it's all kinked up. And the main thing to do is to go ahead and tie a knot in one end. Just an overhand knot, as such. Then use your forceps. And stretch it out. And you notice the kinks will start disappearing. And you can throw it on the other end, behind the knot. And again, you just stretch it out. There you go. Now the best way to do this is to go ahead and cut off 4 or 5 feet of this, pull these individual strands out, and hang them up with a weight pulling down on them, and leave them on for a couple of days so all the kinks are gone. Then you have nice material to work with. You see. The next thing I like to talk about is the hooks. There's only a couple of brands that I use, primarily because they don't break when you bend them. One of them is the Tiemco. It's available in a number of fly shops, mail order catalogs. And the hook should be 2 to 3 times the length, so 2x or 3x. And when you bend these hooks, you need a pair of forceps that you've ground off the 4 edges, rounded them off with a file, so that you get a nice bend. And you bend it in 2 steps, just barely, and then move the forceps up a little ways and finish the bend. So you have a right angle bending right up on top. And of course, clinch the barbs. You don't need barbs on these hooks, because once the fish takes the fly and you set the hook, it has a tendency to rotate, and your entire fly will be out of the mouth of the fish. Very easy to remove, and you can catch many, many fish on one fly before it's totally mutilated. So again, use a Tiemco hook or a Mustad, and there are a bunch of different sizes, anywhere from 2 to 3x in length. The glue that we use is super glue. It's available in dollar stores, 2 bottles for $1. And it's excellent for this kind of a fly. You don't use much of it. It bonds instantly, but you have to have something to dispense it with so you don't glue yourself to the table. This is just a piece of cardboard. You just fold it in half, put your glue in there, staple the edges, take the cap off, and you can just, by tipping the cardboard, you can put the glue on the end of it to put it on your fly. Once you take the cap off the super glue, don't put it back on. Just leave it off till all the glue is gone, weeks or months later. It doesn't dry out. It's very, very difficult to use it over again if you put the cap on it. So take the cap off and put it away, and don't put the cap on unless you're traveling with the glue. That's obvious. If you're going to take it and put it in your thing, you better put the cap on it. But at home, just take the cap off, never put it back on. Now, the filaments I use on a tail, they're real fine filaments, and they're available in ribbon. You cut the edge of one side of the ribbon, and it'll come off in V-shaped filaments. You won't be able to see this. They're awful clear. But that's how you do it. You just take the ribbon. This happens to be this shiny stuff. Cut off about 1/4 inch, and then see if you get a V when you pull one of these off. If you don't get a V, you cut the wrong sides. So go on the other side and cut off the whole length. And every time you pull the thing off, you'll get a V-shaped microfilament type material for your tail. This is available in any fabric store that sells ribbon material. The thread I like to use is a 14 shear brand. There are many others that are real fine threads. Whatever you use, that's fine. But I use 14 shear, and I like it the best of all the ones I've tried. Of course, when we were demonstrating here, we use a real heavy thread so you could see it. Now, if you're going to tie these flies, you have to use a vise that is not a rotary vise. Rotary vices for this type of fly, especially tying the tail, is very, very difficult, and I don't recommend it whatsoever. Now, most people tie with a rotary vise, but they also have a simple vise somewhere in their equipment, and that's what I would recommend that you use. It's very, very frustrating. I want to emphasize that. It's very frustrating to try and tie this fly with a rotary vise. That's about it. I think it'll take some practice for you to get them so they look pretty good. But refer to the videos and just go ahead and tie a few of these. You'll love fishing them. They float real high. They're very visible, and the fish love them. Thank you.